Welcome to the Astroflower channel. This is going to be, we're going to be clarifying the readings that I did at the weekend. And Tanya and my good self are going to be going through about how the elements are being affected by the solar activity and the vibration that comes through the earth and comes through you. So it affects you and affects all the elements that's running through your sign. So this is going to be a heads up, a bit of a clarification on that weekly readings. So in the meantime, welcome Tanya. This is the first time you've been on a video with me.
It is indeed. It is indeed. But it's nice to be out the front and not doing all the back end work and getting involved. With the activity in the sun over the last week and an X flare last night, I can't really stay behind closed doors forever.
No, it is great, and we should do quite a few. We've done quite a few videos on Somatic TV with talking into near-death experiences and the aura and chakras and that sort of thing, and reincarnation. People should go and check them out. They're timeless videos. But it's good. It's good to have you back. It's great. I feel less lonely in my little.
Can't let you wander that path alone.
No, exactly. So let's just take the people through what's been going on. Let me just sort my screen share out. So this is like the sun that's been happening. It only goes back to the 29th, but there was loads of M flares coming through, especially through that sort of section there where we just saw the X flare there. And we had a little coronal holes. These are the little coronal holes here, but they're waning out as we're getting now into what I would call solar maximum. Solar maximum lasts anything between sort of 18 months to 2.5 years, but it's that curve as it gradually goes over the top like that, and then we have the intermediate sort of stages, which is to do with filament energies, and then we get into the low, which is around about 18 months, 2.5 years, where it's completely different energy, and we go through the entire cycle, which lasts around about sort of 10-11 years. Now you had something interesting about, because we were talking about health issues on the energy update, which I did in Somatic TV, and I was talking a little bit about the heart and stuff like that. Tell them your sort of
when you introduced me to the idea through your healing about the solar flares affecting the heart, I looked back to 2012. I had a full investigation done of my heart because my heart started becoming very agitated for no particular reason, and it was fully investigated, and the doctors couldn't find anything. And since this very recent solar activity, the heart's doing the same thing again. And so just looking at the correlation between those two time periods, it now makes complete sense to me what you were saying. So, I woke up in the middle of the night when this was all kicking off and the geomagnetic storm came through, and my heart was racing all over the place. So it's very clear to me. I feel the coronal holes. I feel the M flares. This consistent energy puts you in I'm an air sign, so pure air. It does seem I seem to be very sensitive to the flares coming through. But just knowing that is great, because you can understand and accept it when you know what's going on. So this is great information to have.
Yeah. No, we've it's like it'd be interesting to sort of see, if there is like years where there's more heart attacks than others.
I think didn't Ben on Suspicious Observers look at the medical incidences of heart and also with mental health? I think over a few of his videos, he mentioned that there, and I think there are papers proving that. So on the mental health front as well, people feeling more agitated, and as you said, a bit of extreme swinging. But as the flares are coming through, it tends to throw sensitive people into a bit more of an up down roller coaster kind of scenario.
And that's all to do with the air and fire that's running through everybody's system. You can be a water sign, but you can have lots of air, fire going through it, such as Pisces.
Yeah.
which makes Pisces incredibly passionate about what they do and emotionally passionate about what they do.
Oh, yes.
And you can see that in the Astroflower. We'll be going through that a little bit later on. Yeah, it's definitely, you know, there's already major studies on solar flares and their effect on heart attack rates, also mental health issues, as you said, but also sort of gut and digestive systems, because it's playing on the solar plexus a lot more. So people who are a little bit more susceptible to that may feel that they're getting, you know, their digestive tract is not, it's not flowing as easy as it should be. Or
well, you picked that up on the energy update as well, didn't you, with the solar plexus, with the energy coming through, and that again rippled through the earthquakes that we've observed coming through over the last week as well. Have you got some?
Yeah, let's just go through. Let's just go through the. So this is what that X flare is just coming off here. So this is what's called Iswa. This shows here in the middle the sun. This round yellow dot here is the. Let me just is the Earth. This red dot here is Mars, and this green dot here is Venus, and this is Mercury, sort of swinging out around the back of us. So we are actually just coming through a conjunction of the Earth and Mercury as well. So as the sun does push out this energy, if you imagine you've got well, you don't have to imagine, you've got the sun here, Mercury's coming through as it's pushing it out. If you imagine the messages that from Mercury is being enforced by the sun. So it's, I would say it's not necessarily a message, but more of an order. Do this, rather than maybe you should be looking at doing this, and have you thought about this? Which is a little bit different. Yeah, so you have to wait till Mercury comes round where Venus is, really, to get into that flow. So you get those more direct sort of conversations with the universe. At the moment,
what does that affect on Venus? Because that's clearly hitting Venus as it's coming through to Earth. What effect is that having? You know, Venus being the love planet.
Yeah, well, it's going to affect the water. It's going to cut the water. It's going to cut the emotional sort of side, make the emotions a little bit thinner. So, you know, if you've got, say, like a litre of water in a saucepan, it's going to take time to boil up. But if you've only got like 100 centilitres or whatever it is, millilitres or whatever, in the bottom of the pan, it's gonna boil very quickly. So that's the thing you've got to, you know, that's the sort of situation we're in, where it's reducing the amount of water effect in the elements. So the water that is left is going to be heated very quickly by the air and fire connection which the X flares or the general flares send in our sort of direction. Over the past 2 years, it's been very much a mixed bag. And you can see that in the world, it's been a mixed bag. You know,
it's quite fortunate Mars hasn't been within range, I would assume, with the current situation, war situation that the world is observing. If Mars was involved, would this flare have impacted that and reinforced that?
Well, it depends how, you know, if say Mars was behind us, it would force the aggression or war-mongering sort of thing more upon us. If Mars was in the position of Venus, it would cut out that bit. But when it does come back into flow, so it may calm down and then do a bit of a Will Smith, basically.
Okay.
You know, yeah, do a bit of a Will Smith. But the good thing about what we got at the moment here, and this is okay, so the effect of Mars, so if you imagine we're still in that flow of Mars as it comes through here, we're still in its sort of cone, as it were. So it's flowing onto us, but it is going through Venus as well. So therefore, it's going to make, it would make, say, like, people do get passionate about certain wars that are going on. But there's not a lot of concrete understanding and view of it, really. It's a bit sort of muddied water in a way, because Venus is in the way. But with this flare knocking out Venus, it may increase over the next week, which I said on the energy update that it may make everybody a little bit more angsty, because Venus, Mars is that fiery planet, and the X flare is fiery energy, so it's going to be double whammy, as it were. So you may see a spike in the next week, in this coming weekend, of angstity. Is that a word? I don't think it is.
Just angst.
Yeah, but that can also be on the larger scale, as it were. On the.
So how has this affected the world chakras and coming through? You did the energy update last night and took the energy from the line. So how did that feed through to where the X flare and M flares have been hitting? How is it related to the world?
Well, yesterday was absolutely brilliant, going down the lines. It's the first time I've felt the sequence to be literally, really sharp and clear. And it's the first time I felt that in quite a few years. And I think that's because we've been through that intermediate stage between low cycle and high cycle of the sun. It's all a bit mixed bag, as I sort of say, which makes the energy a little bit mixed bag for a couple of years on the planet. And I was sort of saying that with the X flares, it's putting a lot of pressure on the solar plexus. And because it puts a lot of pressure on the solar plexus and makes that, the thinking's going to be quite heavy, but the throat, which is to do with water a little bit, is going to be reduced. So it might be a little bit, so you're moving from the fiery solar plexus go straight into the head, which makes that sort of angst sensation, the sensation of anxiety coming up through people. And it puts a lot of pressure on the communication as well between people. So you might find it, for particular signs, they might find it difficult to express how they feel about sort of situations. And the earth signs, the earth energy has been really sort of like compacting a lot more for earth signs. So it was playing on I was sort of saying in the energy update, it's been playing on the third eye and the throat and the solar plexus. And the funny thing is when you look at the earthquakes over the last week, no, that's one that's going on. Yeah, that's last night. That's what's going on at the moment. And I was saying that it was hitting the root and the solar plexus, and we got a big earthquake in the solar plexus. Let me just find out where there's the earthquakes over the week. And if you go back to there, you got the throat and third eye chakra at the moment, and there you got the solar plexus, and all of the earthquakes really are playing on that part of the world, between those two chakras on the ring of fire, as it were. There's been a little bit on the root chakra, and I was sort of saying that it's having difficulty. I was saying to you earlier about how it's difficult to get from the root to the sacrum, and that seems to be blocking in the Caribbean, where it comes from the root, and it seems to be blocking in the Caribbean and not allowing it up to the sacrum, which is up in Mount Shasta.
So what effect does that have on people, not being able to express their wants and needs, or what? How does that flow through?
Well, you could have an idea that you need to do this on your karmic path. I need to be doing this. This is what the root thing is a little bit about. Because the root and the crown chakra is your vertical energy. It's your reason d'etre, which I go into the Astroflower books quite a bit about, and how positioning yourself and how the vertical energy is your reason d'etre in the world, your reason of being here, your karmic path in a way. And that may affect that sort of running through of basic understanding of where you should be in your life and on this planet. And people may feel that at the moment. They may feel that they're a little bit sort of disconnected to what they're actually doing, and or finding it a little bit more difficult to see the actual
questioning their purpose a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, questioning their purpose a little bit. Because there hasn't been a great deal on the crown, although there was.
Well, last night they came through a couple, India and Pakistan. Both
Yeah, the crown's there, and and that's. And I was saying, sort of like, if you get a lot in the root, you're gonna get a ripple effect into the crown on the earthquakes and stuff like that, because it's on. They're on exactly the same lines. That's the thing, because they are the same chakra. And so the
You were
crossing
saying something
point
about the impact of the flares in the two triangle areas. It's quite useful on that map to see where those, like the Bermuda Triangle and the Dragon Triangle, and how that was.
Okay, so if you look at what's the angst sort of chakras, which is the solar plexus, which is down here in Australia, and then you've got the root and the third eye up at the top there. If you look at the configuration with the blue and the green line and the pink and the yellow, and you follow it over to the other side, you get the. Oh no, it's going to be on that side there, isn't it? It's going to be on that one there. But it has been affecting. It is affecting.
That's where the flare hit, didn't it? Yeah. The flare hit over on that area.
On that side there. So it is going to be playing into the bit on the. And blocking that thing. I think this is because this section here is pushing out onto this section here, and it's stopping that connection between those two, which are connected through that red line there. And it's blocking in the sort of like Caribbean there, in that section there. But it does. Here you've got the Dragon Triangle, and here you've got the Bermuda Triangle on the other side, and then. Let me get it onto the actual vortex maps. That'll be a lot easier to see, I think. So here you've got the Bermuda Triangle, and here you've got the Dragon Triangle, and they're flowing the both ways, the same way. Here it's flowing in the other way, stuff like that. But this is coming out in another book. I'm not going to take it too far.
Don't go down that rabbit hole.
So yeah, so it's been. Affecting quite a bit the different sort of chakras and stuff like that, but it's mainly the solar plexus and the third eye and the throat. The third eye is really, really clean, really clean.
So how is this going to translate into the Astroflower? How are we going to understand the implications as it comes through?
Okay, well look, let's bring up some of the Astroflowers, and let's go through the individual readings that we did in the week before. We'll start off with the fixed signs. So if we go into Aquarius, which is here on the right hand side, as you can well see, so it's going to be affecting the fire, any fire that's running through them, and the air. So that's going to heighten that, reduce the water, and make the earth a little bit more concrete, so a little bit more sort of solid, as it were. So if you're just going quickly through, we've got the Seven of Pentacles up there. So this earth here coming through is going to make Aquarians more sort of kind of like concentrating on the actual physical side of putting things into action in their life. But on the lower part, on their karmic path and how it's affected by the universe, which we get the Queen, the Nine of Pentacles and the Page of Swords, that may create a bit of confusion there. And you may get a lot of mental activity going on that karmic path of how you physically put things into life, which could...
It's a bit of a head over heart sort of situation. You'll be a little bit more mental over your emotion.
Yeah, and that could cause that tower moment there.
Right.
And I said, I was saying that the tower moment is not necessarily a bad thing, because it's coming in from your guides, and they sort of, and you've got that crossing point of air and fire at the top. They may be purposely creating situations because you're doing things you shouldn't be doing.
That's interesting. The Queen of Swords is sat on the fixed air as well. Because if the air is being reinforced by this flare through, then there is a very poignant moment of clarity that is coming through. So that head is going to be very strong.
Well, if you think about it, nice ideas are coming in through the Knight of Swords, concrete resources that you should be gathering now, a transformation and give you clear thinking.
Yeah.
You know, so it does work. It works really well on the physical side for Aquarius, but it seems like it's going to cause
On the emotional side, I mean,
readjustment.
The water and the fire. You know, obviously you've got a lot of emotion cards have come up as well with the Queen of Cups and the Lovers. What presumably the fire is going to be over superseding the water if the water's calmed down a little bit. So what does that mean for the card?
Well, I think if Aquarians are having to readjust their physical side, they're going to need that counterbalance, which is a very emotional, loving sort of relationship side. And it seems like that the passions are going to be pushing through the Lovers. So your relationships, your one-to-one relationships with other people, it's going to allow you to explore lots of things. But as I was saying earlier on, you know, the water, it may boil over, which may create a situation where you may feel like your partner or your friend or your best friend or whatever, you know, the people that you're having very personal relationships, that you're not getting back as much as you wanted out of the situation. But you might, you know, as Aquarians, you might be overthinking this a little bit too much, and it may just create a moment where you feel a little bit sort of like.
But that be the fixed air won't help that again, because you're kind of a little bit caught in that rigidity, a little bit of that mental thinking.
Yeah, it's that religious side of Aquarians that exists. How they like structure and order and in their emotions and stuff like that. And
What effect is that having coming up through the core, through the karmic bit, with the sort of all those ideas?
You were saying earlier on, you were saying something about that. What was that about the seven of cups? What were you saying about that?
Which the what? Which
the
one?
Seven, no, the Page of Cups. Sorry, not the Seven of Cups. The Page of Cups.
Yeah, just the page and the ideas and, you know, and the desire for pursuing dreams. But the water and the earth at the base of petal 10, both those are going to be a little bit slowed down. So there's Seven of Pentacles, that waiting for things to come to fruition, is going to be a little bit of frustration, because you're wanting it, you're wanting those dreams, but unfortunately it's a little bit slowed down coming through into petal 10, and again blocked a little bit by that mental.
Yeah, I think it's going to affect people that, you know, we go into the Astroflower rhythms in lives, and there is major rhythms like 12, 24, 36, 48, very classic sort of rhythms like that. So people who are caught between the two, sort of like 27, 33, 39, 40, around those sort of ages there, they may feel a little bit more sort of the frustration than, say, like the people on major rhythm lines. But, you know,
just before we move on to another sign, what would you say would be the main message for Aquarius to deal with this flare coming through? What would be your advice to them?
I would nurture those changes that are taking place, or adjustments. Rather than changes, I'd call them adjustments. But allow those adjustments to happen naturally around you, so you can adapt to those new changes that are coming through. Brilliant.
Can we move on to the next fixed sign?
Yes. So let's move on to. Thank you very much, Aquarius, by the way. Let's move on to Taurus. Let me just bring up Taurus's flower. They're right at the end, Taurus. They're terrible. Here we go. There's Taurus there. Strange here, because Taurus has obviously got fixed. It's a mixture between fixed earth and fixed fire. So their fixed earth is going to be more rigid. And their fixed fire is going to be pushing their passions through. So they may, just on a general view like that, they may feel a little bit of burnout. And
frustration as well, maybe.
Yeah, very possibly frustration with the outside world, I think, and how the world is a little bit slower than they'd like it to be and stuff like that.
Would this mean the passion's kind of pushing up from the base and they're just getting really slowed down as they're trying to push things through all round, sort of in their physical and emotional worlds?
Yeah, we've almost got the opposite of what we got on Aquarius, where they had the water and fire on their emotional side. The Taurians have got it on their physical side. So it's got that is that the King of Wands, which is great because he's got the lion in the background and you've got the lion at the top there. So there's a real flow going through at the moment, and they are on that. They are coming into their last part of their autumn, really. So they're moving on from calculating the physical side of their life into their emotional side of their lives. So, what they want to do after their birthdays. And they should be moving on from where the house they want to live in to what colour they want the house to be. If you know what I mean. That's the sort of progressional sort of thing going on. And you can sort of see that in the reading there, because you've got the King of Wands, you've got the King of Cups, which is really good. It should help them balance themselves emotionally, because one is fire, the other one is water, which they've got exactly that in their base. And then we move
you've got
on.
the Emperor as well. It's like going up through. That's pretty strong, isn't it? So that fire is really reinforcing, coming up through that base.
Yeah. Well, look at the Emperor and the Six of Wands. You've got fire and earth, and the Emperor is much more of a, I would say the King of Wands is much more of a conquering sort of
energy
king, where the Emperor has already conquered. If you know what I mean.
Sitting in his power.
Totally. So these two are really to do with the concrete world. And there's also got the Three of Pentacles just above it. So I think it's a case of, for the Taurians, it's a case of allowing the physical side to just flow. Don't get too caught up in why is this paperwork not here, or why haven't I got that delivery, or that sort of thing. Don't get triggered by that sort of part of the world, and allow it to flow through. Stay true to yourself. On the emotional side, it looks like it's going to be affecting. It's going to make it. It may make yourself a little bit more draconian emotionally in your life. The Taurians, that this is how I want it, and I don't want it any other way.
And it could be productive with that Three of Pentacles. It looked like it could actually be progressive.
Totally, it could be progressive. Yeah, no, it's not such a bad thing. Everything's a double-edged sword. It depends how you take it and how you set yourself up in life. And this is the thing with the Astroflower. What we try and do is try and help people to get into the rhythm and also surf those sort of waves of the elements and the qualities that come through their sign, and mixed with other people around them, so then they can actually, turn a negative into a positive with greater ease.
Would you say that as a sort of closing thing for Taurus is to take that approach, to stand in their power, be progressive? What would you say?
Yeah, I would say it's more of a case for the Taurians to actually, because they've got that fire coming, that passion coming in from the outside world. It's to hold your line. Don't go yet. Don't start running yet. I think that's what the Strength card is all about. It's a case of knowing your emotions on your physical side and knowing your power on your emotional side. And if you do that, you'll feel that you're actually, Taurians could be a really productive time for the inside you at the moment, which runs beautifully to their rhythm, So if they stay true to their ideas of what they want and realise that it's a longer term goal that they're looking at the moment.
And they can be empowered in knowing that. Brilliant. Okay.
Yeah.
We move
Okay.
on.
move on to the next one. Thank you very much, Taurus. Let's move on to Leo. So, Leo, there you go. I'll get there eventually. So, Leo is still in their summer. Are they? Yes, just. It's their last month of summer. When they go into Taurus season, that's when their first month of autumn starts. So things may start slowing down in the autumn period. And Taurus season looks like it's going to be quite hectic.
Yeah, you were saying about that. A lot has been coming through about Taurus season. Something about to happen.
Yeah, we are going to do a 3 monthly reading for the world, aren't we? At some point, we've said we're going to be doing this, and I think it should be a really good thing to do on Taurus. But we'll come back onto that season. The funny thing is about Taurus and Leo, right? We were saying earlier on about Taurus. Taurus has got the fixed earth on the top and the fixed fire on the bottom. So this is opposite to Leo, because Leo's got the fixed earth, fixed fire on the top and fixed earth on the bottom. And look what cards do we have. You know, the three of Pentacles was down in where the Two of Cups was.
It's all reversed. It's all
and reversed. The Five of Pentacles where the Three of Pentacles was.
Yeah.
And that Nine of Cups was down by the Wands. So there is a definite inverse going on.
Yeah, totally.
You know.
So what effect does the Earth at the base? So the what's pushing through? Because obviously the Earth slowed down a little bit and become a little bit more concrete. But then you've got all that fire on the surface. So how does that reflect for Leo?
Well, certainly on the let's just say take petal 1. So we got that fixed fire, fixed earth, and fixed air, and you've got Judgment card, Justice. Sorry, I always get those two mixed up. The Justice card. So Leos may find themselves within their relationships, and this could be on a singular or a group level. They may this week, certainly this coming weekend, by the looks of when this energy flows through, they may be able to finally judge a situation. And once they judge a situation, they can position themselves. If they can position themselves, that means that Two of Cups there will come into play and ignite that Three of Pentacles. And it's part of that longer road of relationships where Leo likes to build the community. It likes to get involved in the people around them. And that could be family, that could be friends, and playing a part within that community. You know, they've got that determination of heart, as it were, to be within the community and play their role. So this could well set them up really nicely this weekend, where with certain situations they'll be able to put to rest certain ideas they might have had within themselves and be able to progress on with ease emotionally and within relationships, because it's quite a lovely progressive reading right to the Nine of Cups at the end.
What effect does the fire have on the Earth on petal 4? What having the fire more activated over the Earth? What does that mean? It's kind of a fast burning situation and productive in that respect.
Yeah, I think it's more of a case that with the Ace of Cups, you've got sort of Leo, sort of the universe is encouraging them to being a little bit more softer with the physical or material world, as it were, and accept the idea that you've got to put in boundaries that are in place that allows you to actually enjoy that sort of world around you. But I think that's going to play more into the Nine of Wands rather than the Ace of Cups, because that's a water card and there's no water on that section. I just think it's more of a case of the universe is sort of saying, don't forget, life should be fun. Please do enjoy. That sort of thing. But
Do you
I
think
think,
do you think the Earth, sort of there's quite a lot of Earth in the centre around, going up through the core with those, with the Seven of Cups and the choices? Do you think that's going to just make those choices a little bit harder to work through?
no, I
Because
think
it's
it probably helped them and crystallise those sort of ideas.
so the mental strength then can help that crystallizing those ideas. So
Yeah.
whatever it is on the table, they have that opportunity to really focus and work through what it is that they do want.
Yeah. And if they do that, that means that Nine of Wands there is really going to play a nice role. It may make you feel like that you're going to have to say no to a situation which they will feel like excluded from a situation which Leos don't particularly like. So, that's what the Five of Pentacles is about. I don't, it might be related to money. So you might turn around and say, I refuse that contract because it doesn't sit with the progression of my company. Therefore, I'm not going to have that money coming in through that contract. So it may be seen as a money loss, but the reason you're saying no is because you're concentrating on a contract that's much bigger.
So what would be your main sort of closing message to Leo for this energy coming through?
Well, I would say with the Seven of Cups in the middle there, that they may have started the week kind of going, oh, I'd like to get things sorted, I'd like to get things clear. I would say put certain things to bed in regards to relationships. Draw a line in the sand and move on. And allow the universe, once you do that, then you give that space and you allow that, and then just allow the universe, or allow the outside world more than the universe, to actually start providing some of those gifts of summer for you, and seize those opportunities and realize that you're on a longer road, and there is an adjustment going on your physical sort of side, on your material sort of side, business projects and all of that.
Excellent.
Okay.
Shall we move on?
Yeah, let's move on. Scorpio. So Scorpio, the last of the fixed signs. Well, they're not the last. The last one we're doing are the fixed signs. Scorpio's been having some really nice reading, actually. They've really sort of come out their shell over the last sort of 2 or 3 months, I think. It seems like that through the readings. And they've come out the shell and they've kind of went, oh, it's a little bit chillier than I thought.
Now, looking at the emotional side of that reading, how does that tie in with their flower and the energy coming through?
Well, you've got that fixed air on, because they're hot there. They're 2/3 water, 1/3 air, and you've got that fixed air on that fixed water, which is quite nice, coming in from Aquarius. I'll get there in a minute. From Aquarius, but you've got that cardinal water and cardinal air from Libra and Capricorn. Probably the best signs out of the. No, I'm only joking.
Obviously.
We're Librans and Capricorns, Scorpios. We do apologize. We're Anyway, it will just make that. I think half the problem on this side here is that there's a lot of mental activity going on the emotional front. And they're probably creating a lot more problems for themselves than they need to be.
A lot of self-questioning and going round in loops.
Yeah, self-questioning, but I do believe there's also questioning in regards to the outside world, because you've got the moon and the Eight of Cups. And that's regards to other people, rather than, you're not going to walk away from something from within. You can walk away from something from within yourself, but here it's more sort of concerns with the outside world. Right. And you've also got the Queen of Swords there, right bang in the middle.
Again, mental energy is coming through very strongly, and that energy is only going to reinforce that.
And look, at the top there, you've got that crossing point of air and fire. So that's going to be really stimulated. And at the base of that, you've got water and earth, and that's not going to be stimulated. So it's all going to be pulling outwards to the outside world. And I think Scorpio, of what they've experienced over the last sort of 2 or 3 months, according to what I've seen in the cards, they'll want to continue that journey of being outside of their shell and enjoying life. And they're having to deal with certain things that they normally wouldn't deal with because they're very reserved people generally.
But the dreams, the Page of Cups is up there on the material side, and you know, maybe it's a time to express those dreams and actually step out.
Yeah, well, look at what they've got on the base as well.
Yeah,
you know, you've got that. You've got
that's happiness. The universe is saying it's available.
And that's playing into the mental side because you've got water, you've got earth and air. So and especially with it being mutable in this section here in the fortune card, it is you're turning your negatives into positives. Whereas before, the 9 of Swords and the 8 of Cups would have normally forced the Scorpio back into their shell and said, "Oh, I'm not going out there. I'm not risking that." You know, because they are reserved. But this time here, I think it's more a case of you can get through this. Keep your eye on the prize. And that's what that 4 of Wands is all about.
So what would you say would be the main message for Scorpio?
Remember where you come from and where you're going. Because it all seems to be flowing through like that, really. And this outside world aspect here, where your guides are dealing with the outside world, allow them to just deal with it and keep your eye on the goal. I would.
Okay.
Okay. Excellent.